So as outlined, I want to show this paragraph if we have no goals. So if this goals array here is empty. And I want to show this unordered list if we do have goals. So if we have at least one item in this goals array. That's my idea here. Now, how can we implement this? First of all, you already noticed, I'm no longer using this split screen. I no longer have JavaScript and HTML on top of each other because I think we got used to how Vue works with HTML, and I now want to have more space available for HTML and JavaScript. Hence, I'll just switch between those files. But that's just a side note. How can we now make sure that this paragraph only shows up if we do have no goals? So if goals is an empty array. Well, Vue has a directive for us. A directive we can add on the element that should be rendered conditionally. And that's the if directive. So it's basically like a if statement in JavaScript code. You check a certain condition, and then you have code that is executed if that condition is met. And we can do the same in HTML with if. We pass a certain condition between the double quotes here. And as always, when using Vue directives, here between the double quotes, we can add in a JavaScript expression. And we can also refer to our data, our methods, our computed properties, and so on. And here, we can check if goals length is equal to 0. Goals is simply this data property I defined before. It's an array, and therefore it has a length property. And if length is 0, that means we have no goals. And then this condition is met, and this tells Vue that then this paragraph and all its content, including any possible child elements we might have, should be rendered. So if I now save that and reload, nothing changes because initially goals is empty. But if I go to app.js and I do add a goal here, like finish the course, a simple string, let's say, if I do that and reload, now you see the paragraph is gone. And it's not just gone visually on the screen. If we inspect this, we see in the developer tools, it's really not there. We have the unordered list, but we have no paragraph. Instead, we have this placeholder, which Vue uses internally to find out where to add the paragraph if our goals should be empty again. But that's what we get thanks to if. Now, in a static application, which isn't truly dynamic, because we have no way of changing goals right now, this is not too exciting, but it is a start. Now, let's make it a bit more exciting though. Let's say when this button is pressed, we want to get the value entered in this input and use that as a goal, which then is added to this goals array. To implement that, we can add a method in the methods option here. Add goal sounds like a fitting name. And in my data object here, besides storing the goals, I also want to store whatever the user currently entered in this input. So here I have my entered goal value, which is an empty string. Of course, you can name the property however you want. And here in the add goal method, I can now reach out to goals and use the push method, which is available on every JavaScript array, and therefore, of course, also on that array, to push this entered goal value, so whatever the user entered here, to my goals as a new goal. And now in index.html, we can bind both things. We can bind the input with vModel to this entered goal value data property like this. And on the button with add click, we can point at this method which we added. So at the add goal method, and point at it so that this method is executed when the button is clicked. And now we do have a way of changing our goals. That means that we now can also get rid of this hard-coded goal here so that we start with an empty array again. And if we now save everything and reload, we see that we start with this paragraph. But now, if I add a goal like finish the course and click the button, you see the paragraph disappears. We don't see the goal yet because we haven't learned how to output that. But we see that the conditional rendering with VIF works. Now let's dig a bit deeper into VIF.